Imagine waking up to the sound of gunfire outside your window, neighbors disappearing overnight, and your whole world turned upside down, not by a war with another country, but by the people in your own streets. That's the brutal reality millions have faced during revolutions. When the people rise, the rulers fall, and history bleeds. Today, we're diving into some of the bloodiest revolutions in human history. They weren't just political shakeups. They were explosive, chaotic, and soaked in blood. Let's find out how desperate people, powerful ideas, and violent power struggles reshaped the world. Let's start with one of the most infamous revolutions ever, the French Revolution. Picture Paris in the late 1700s. People are starving. Bread is more expensive than gold. Meanwhile, the royal family lives in absolute luxury. The king, Louis XVI, and Queen Marie Antoinette are completely out of touch. The people are angry, and when anger meets hunger, things get dangerous. In 1789, the storming of the Bastille kicked off a revolution that would drown France in violence. Heads rolled, literally. The guillotine became a symbol of justice, and during the Reign of Terror, over 16,000 people were executed, including the king and queen. Some were guilty, many weren't, and it didn't end with peace. It ended with Napoleon rising to power and starting wars across Europe. Now, if you think that was intense, the Russian Revolution might be even darker. Fast forward to 1917. Russia is in chaos. The people are exhausted from World War I, and the country is ruled by Tsar Nicholas II, a man completely unprepared for the pressure cooker of history he's standing in. In February, protests erupt. Soldiers join the crowds. The Tsar is forced to abdicate. But it doesn't end there, because the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, want more than change. They want total control. In October, they seize power, launching a brutal civil war between the Red Army and the anti-Bolshevik Whites. The death toll? Over 7 million people from fighting, famine, and disease. The Romanov royal family? Executed in a basement. Russia didn't just switch leaders, it became the Soviet Union, a superpower built from the ruins of revolution. Next, let's head to China, where the Chinese Communist Revolution tore through the 20th century with staggering consequences. After decades of warlords, Japanese invasion, and civil war, Mao Zedong led the Communist Party to victory in 1949. But the real bloodshed came later. Mao launched campaigns like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, aiming to reshape China into a communist utopia. The result? Chaos. Millions died from starvation during forced farming policies, and intellectuals were persecuted, imprisoned, or killed. Students turned against teachers. Families were torn apart. The death toll from Mao's revolution and its aftermath is estimated to be over 40 million. Yes, you heard that right. 40 million. That's more than some world wars. And then there's the Haitian Revolution, which doesn't get enough attention but changed history forever. In 1791, enslaved Africans in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, rose up against brutal slave owners. This was the first and only successful slave revolt that led to the founding of an independent nation. The revolution was fierce and relentless. Both the French and the rebels committed atrocities. But in 1804, Haiti declared independence, becoming the first black republic and the first country born from a slave revolt. It was a powerful moment, but it came at an enormous cost. Hundreds of thousands dead, cities destroyed, and a future full of struggle as the world turned its back on the new nation. Let's not forget the Iranian Revolution of 1979. It wasn't the bloodiest in terms of raw numbers, but it shook the Middle East and still shapes global politics today. Iranians, fed up with the corruption and Western influence under the Shah's rule, flooded the streets. Protests grew, and when the military refused to keep killing its own people, the Shah fled. Enter Ayatollah Khomeini, who transformed Iran into an Islamic republic. What followed was years of purges, executions, and cultural crackdowns. The revolution's echo still affects the region and the world decades later. Finally, there's the Mexican Revolution, an epic 10-year conflict starting in 1910 that saw presidents fall, warlords rise, and over 1 million people killed. It began as a protest against dictatorship and ended up rewriting Mexico's social and political structure. Peasants, led by men like Emiliano Zapata, fought for land. Rebels turned into rulers, and the country was left scarred but changed. It wasn't a single war, it was a whirlwind of shifting alliances and betrayals. But in the end, it laid the foundation for modern Mexico. So, what do all these revolutions have in common? They were all born from desperation. Hunger, inequality, injustice, these are the sparks. But the fires that follow, they're almost impossible to control. Once the people rise, everything changes. Sometimes for the better, often through a lot of bloodshed. But here's the twist. Revolutions are never just about fighting. They're about hope. They're about people believing they can make the world better, even when the cost is unimaginable. Sometimes that dream turns into a nightmare. Sometimes it changes the course of history forever. But no matter the country or century, one thing is clear. When the people decide enough is enough, even the most powerful empires can fall. So next time you hear the word revolution, remember, it's not just a political word. It's a human one. It's filled with fear, courage, destruction, and dreams. And sometimes it comes with a price written in blood.
Hey there, if you're enjoying this video and appreciate the effort behind it, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the channel grow, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Oh, and one more thing, share this video with your friends. Spread the love and support. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Let me know if you want any tweaks.